Okay, music fans, welcome. Somewhat harmless Dave here, talking about real music, real issues, and just doing it because I do it. All right. Doing it real time for real people just like you, just like me. Big shout out to my brother Paul up in Toronto. Sent me a really smart, he sends me audio messages. And he's got, by the way, he's got the voice for radio. I've got the face for radio. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have the face for radio, but Paul is a really smart guy. And Paul, I appreciate those audio messages because they're spot on. I started off this way because, I gain encouragement from other people who are very smart. We're all like the anti-Borg. We're battling the actual Borg. We're the anti-Borg, right? So Bobby Whitlock, you know who Bobby Whitlock is? And I've gotten 3 or 4 messages from very intelligent patrons who probably don't know that much about Derek and the Dominoes, right? And we're talking 50 years ago. And it was one of those bands Eric Clapton was in. Layla, Derek and the Dominoes, Delaney and Bonnie, Blind Faith, Cream, the Yardbirds. Eric Clapton's had an amazing career. And the common thread is he's his own man. And a lot of people just think to themselves, well, he's hard to get along with. Hey, I'm hard to get along with. There are a lot of people I know that are hard to get along with. And that's just, by the way, that's just what the media is saying now. And people who've worked with him, well, he's kind of, the Jim Keltner, well, he's kind of hard to figure out. This is why he's gone down this rabbit trail. How many days in a row am I going to keep doing this? How many days in a row do I have to tell people Eric Clapton did what the CDC, the Brits, the UK health minister, whoever that is, they said, hey, Eric, you need to do this. You want to go to concerts, you want to be the concert, you want to perform, you better do this. And then you better do it again. And by the way, now they're telling people in some places they're going to have to do it 4 and 5 times. That's ridiculous. In less than a year, you're going to have to do this 5 times. Is it efficacious? Is that the word I should use? Is it efficacious? I would say probably not. Probably not. I'm going to just keep doing my vitamin D shots. I don't know what, it's really weird to see these people again, contorting and jumping through the hoops. You got the Paul Stanleys of the world. You got Gene Simmons. You got all these people in the media. You got the CDC lady. Oh, well, we've got these wonderful things that are going to happen for children. No, sorry. No, kids. No, that's not a good idea. And they have a way to kind of disguise everything that's happening. They've got this system set up where people will excuse it and write it off as some other occurrence. Like, no, that didn't happen. You didn't just see that. Well, it was posted on social media. By the way, Telegram is a terrific place to go. Telegram, if you want to find out what's really happening. You won't see. Facebook does the little box and Twitter does the box, and they're fact checking, and they've got their fact checkers that don't check facts. They just don't like what you're saying. So they come up with some kind of a slogan that makes you look and feel bad. Yet it has nothing to do with reality, because I know people, I know people other than Eric Clapton who have had issues. I know people. Let me say that again. So I know people. So does that mean anything to anyone that I know people that have had problems? I'm just curious. At what point do we excuse reality? Like I've said before, this is a reality bias now. Well, Dave, you know what? Your reality doesn't match up with our guidelines. So they're in conflict. So what are you going to do about it? Well, what we're asking you to do is shut up. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm shutting up, then people are going to lose their lives. People are going to have big problems because they're not able to like hear the actual truth. They're not able to hear my neighbor trips and falls and dies because they tripped and fell, and which would be kind of a dramatic way to go, but plausible. And I say, hey, you know, my neighbor tripped on their, I don't know, their rake or whatever they left outside and they died. And you know what you would say? Well, they probably shouldn't have left the rake out, or they should have been more careful. So you would have some kind of a response as to how not to do that again, how to prevent that from happening. This is how insane we are right now, that we can't look at reality and say, okay, you did this and you had this reaction to what you did, whether it's Eric Clapton or anybody else. By the way, God bless Bobby Whitlock for being normal, for saying, hey, I know Eric Clapton. He's a good guy. I know him. Why would he? It's almost as if Eric Clapton became a bastard, right? Sorry to use that word, Eric. Eric Clapton became a bastard because he had an opinion. And then he put that opinion out there based on his own anecdotal evidence. So should a medical team, a news team go to Eric's house and probe him for a couple of things to find out, yeah, he's telling the truth, and yeah, there's something going on with Eric. And then, of course, they'd come back with, well, this has nothing to do with the fact that he did the thing. So prior to the thing, when Eric Clapton wasn't having the same issues, this is all coincidental. And this is the new line of attack. It's coincidental. And it's all in your head, like I said before. It's all in your head. I've seen these girls, like teenagers, that had done the thing, and then they had this thing happen to them, and now they're incapacitated. So that injury, which I would consider it an injury, that is all in their head. And we're supposed to just convince ourselves that she's crazy and that we don't need to investigate or look into it. Because what? It's for what? The greater good? How is this for the greater good? So again, I want to thank the patrons who sent me the Bobby Whitlock video. I had seen it thanks to Telegram. I've joined a few groups over on Telegram, and yes, I have a Telegram. If you want to go looking for me, here's the issue, guys, and don't take this the wrong way. I'm already overwhelmed with the patrons. I love you guys. I've got patrons coming on board, $2, $5, $1 a month, whatever it is. I do ask to donate to the channel just because I'm going to eventually myself and YouTube and the people that are dictating what we get to hear and what we don't get to hear, eventually we're going to be at a crossroads. All right. We're going to be at a place where we look at each other and we go, we the revenue stream that Dave is providing. We're airing lots of commercials. People are telling me they had to watch like 3 commercials during a video or something. And one of them was about doing the thing. Okay. All right. So, hey, we're here from the CDC. Welcome to Dave's channel. And yes, this is the ad that's going to air in the midst of his rant about Eric Clapton. Okay. You know what I'm saying here is that sometimes the filthy lucre, you can use it for good. This is the truth. Sometimes you take the filthy lucre. You don't know what I do behind the scenes, but I'm donating some of this to some organizations which are actually trying to combat the thing and propaganda about the thing on top of it. And I'm dead serious. I wouldn't lie to the people who are here. I know some people are like, what's your source, Dave? ask CNN first and then get back to me. All right. Go ask some of these other people. What was it? Sanjay Gupta is your source? The guy who went on Rogan and basically said, well, yeah, they shouldn't have called it horse paste. I don't know why they did that. It's an approved drug and, won the Nobel Prize and it can be repurposed. And okay, so shut up, stop. But see, you just work for this channel and you're just going to take your money. And then you're going to go on Sesame Street. Yes, I know the whole story, by the way. You're going to go on Sesame Street and make Elmo and Big Bird part of your propaganda campaign toward kids, toward children. I mean, holy crap, Batman and Robin. This is happening and people are just sitting there going, well, I don't know. There's one person that says it's good, another person says it's bad. Do your own homework and don't put Wink News on. Don't put NBC2. I'm just citing stations in my area. I'm sorry. Pick your own station, right? Pick your own corporately owned network sponsored. This hour of programming is sponsored by Pfizer. And people go, Pfizer, you're doing a lot of good, right? They're helping to just stem the tide of, endless infections, and good for Pfizer for doing that. Praise the Lord. I'm kidding. For Pfizer. So all that, and I apologize, folks. I'm on a lot of medication and, and I'm on a tangent. It's really tragic where we're at, where a guy who has an injury comes forward and says, I got this injury. And it didn't have to be Eric Clapton. Could have been anybody, right? Happened to Clapton. And let's just be honest, right? Is Eric Clapton the best living guitar player right now? Still alive. Hendrix is gone. Neil Schon is a great guitarist. I'm not going to take anything away from Neil. But Neil turned down a job with Eric Clapton a long time ago. They wanted him in a band. And Neil said, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. He was like 10 at the time. Actually, probably like 13 or 14, which is ridiculous, by the way. But Neil's a great player. He's amazing. And there are other great guitarists out there. Joe Satriani, Joe Bonamassa. I can go down a list. But Eric Clapton's still alive, and he's kind of good. He's really kind of good. And there are some great blues players out there. And you might have your own favorite guitar player. But you would think this might be a little difficult for the rock media to just go along with, you know what I mean? And just say, yeah, let's attack Eric Clapton. All right. So Bobby Whitlock does the video, old friend. And, and nobody is apologizing for some of the things that Clapton did. He battled substance abuse. He said a few off-color things throughout his lifetime. And that, by the way, represents the majority of humanity. So these guys on high writing their articles, keyboard warriors, they're writing their articles and their holier than thou rhetoric is, we can't, there's no way at this point we can accept Eric Clapton anymore. Let's find a way to just destroy him. Oh, his new album came out and it's good. What are we going to do? And what do? They're like, yeah, we like it, despite all of the stuff that Eric says about the measures that have been completely impotent. They've been, I'll say it again, the measures don't work. So you guys with your measures, you do your measures. And by the way, at least half of you are lying. At least half, and maybe more, are lying about your status, about what you've done, if you've done the thing or not done the thing. You're lying. You're lying because you're scared, because you're not just sitting there in a vacuum. You're getting information from people like, I don't know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Andy Wakefield, There are a number of people who have been out there from the very beginning. Dr. Joseph Mercola, who's one of the Dirty Dozen. I mean, all of these people who've said, hey, wait a minute, full stop, we're doctors. Oh, well, you're not the right doctors, right? We can only listen to the doctors that have been proved by the narrative. The narrative now approves doctors. The FDA approves doctors. The CDC. I mean, if you went to med school, went there for like 20 years and came out with a degree, you don't need the FDA or the CDC to approve how smart you are. So anyone with a contrary opinion who went to school and who has had a decent career and has treated patients, they should be considered, right? But no, they're cast off. These are the disinformation dozen. And I think that's up to like 12 dozen right now. That's the old, frontline group at the beginning, Simone Gold and her crew. And they're gentle. The Simone Gold people, they're gentle. They agree, but then they say, well, you do what you want to do. And there are some doctors that say, no, don't even do the thing. And I tend to agree with them. I definitely agree with them, because I think all of these chemicals, right, being used as treatments, therapies, or cures, they don't come from natural places. All right, I'm just making some observations. Now, you can fact check this all you want and say, well, many doctors believe that this is good. And I'll say that's fine, but many doctors believe that it's not good. So you need to come clean and just be honest and say, not everybody agrees with this. You're finding the people that you like, and you can accuse me of the same thing. I'm finding the people that I like, but the people that I like do peer-reviewed studies over and over again. And they've treated patients, and they understand that when you inject something, there are consequences, in the sense that whatever it is that you're putting into the body, is it a substance that's going to be beneficial long-term? Is it going to be beneficial short-term? And where are the long-term studies? Where are they? I would like to ask all the fact checkers where the long-term studies are. Any long-term studies on kids? Would love to see them. What are the numbers? If you're going to do an EUA, then you've also got to admit that there's nothing else in the world that can deal with this problem. There's nothing you can do. You just sit in your house, you quarantine for a year, and you wait. You wait for someone to knock on the door. Hey, I'm here. Look at me. Look what I've got in my hand. Be careful. It's gonna hurt. No. Sorry. Look, I'm thankful that Bobby Whitlock is out there. I'm thankful for the sane people who don't look at a human being who has a different viewpoint than you and ask the question, what went wrong? What happened to this man? How did Eric Clapton become one of those people? Because and here's the other little, it's not little, it's a major deal, but this has all been politicized. That if you're over here on this side, whether it's going to hurt you or not, or even kill you, I'm going to just, because I don't want to admit those people are right. Seriously, that's what this has come down to. The people over here don't want to admit that these other people might be right, because then they'll have some kind of political victory. And in the meantime, your kid, your grandmother, whoever it is, might be dead because you're so dogmatic and ridiculous. Think about that for a quarter of a millisecond, all right? Just ridiculous and stupid and moronic, and people need to repent of their stupidity. And I don't care who comes up with a good idea. I don't care if Joe Biden, the corpse in chief, came out of his coma and said, I've got an idea to fix this problem. I listen to it if he can get through the whole sentence. And I go, you know what? I can't stand this guy. but yeah, that might work. Nobody can do that anymore. Nobody can do that. People don't have the ability to do it because they don't want to see one side succeed, because that might mean that their whole political worldview has been destroyed. Seriously, that's more important to them than fixing the problem. And that is where humanity is completely insane. And they're losing touch with common sense in a way that I've never seen. And people, my buddy Paul in Toronto, we see this perfectly. We go, what happened to humanity? Where they can't look at, here's the evidence, I've got it in my hand. Would you like it? No, I don't want to see it. Why is that? Because it's contrary to my political views. But it's the cure to the problem. I don't want to see it. That guy's going to get credit for it, and then he's going to reign supreme for 1,000 years. He may, but wouldn't that be good? Because then maybe our lives would get better, the economy would get better, gas prices would go back down to $1.92 a gallon, and people would enjoy their lives and wouldn't be in fear all the time. Wouldn't that be better? That would be so much better, right? No, because it's him. And look, if you think I'm like the Trump sycophant, I'm not. I've told people here, I got a t-shirt on, it's a libertarian shirt. Libertarian, okay? There are no libertarians right now that are going to win the Oval Office, all right? Seriously, none, zero. But if I were to ascribe or tell people what I think, like politically, it would be libertarian with some conservative tendencies and a few progressive tendencies. But overall, I'd like to see all this power decentralized and just come back to the people. It's called the 10th Amendment. It's called, we the people. It's Constitution. It's what we used to sort of kind of want to be, but we're not that country anymore. And depending on what country you're in, your Constitution, your whatever it is that governs how your country works, it's not really being followed anymore. And you basically have either a tyrant, a dictator, an oligarch. You got somebody who's micromanaging your life and putting out decrees. I'll tell you what, the most tyrannical thing I ever heard was, we're going to make sure that all employers with 100 employees or more are going to have to do the thing. No exceptions, no exemptions. Sorry. You can apply for an exemption, probably not going to work because we've got a new definition. Religious people, yeah, they're not important anymore, right? And then we hear from the first, or not the first, but what, JFK was the first, but the current corpse is like a Catholic, supposedly. And he goes and hangs out with the Pope, and the Pope is like, yeah, this guy's great, even though he's against pretty much all the core tenets of the Catholic faith. and you wonder why I think that the whole world has gone insane, because it has, because it's opposite day. Like I say, you tell people, hey, this is what I believe in, it's a good thing, freedom, and they go, oh, so what you're saying is you have the freedom to hurt me and kill me because you didn't do the thing. And I go, well, the thing doesn't prevent me from giving you, because even the people who work at the alphabet soup place where they, take data in and they analyze it, they've even said that this doesn't prevent me from giving you the thing. They thought it did at the beginning, and they told everybody that. In fact, President Brandon said that if you do the thing, you won't get the thing. And that's demonstrably false. Ask Paul Stanley. Ask Gene Simmons. Ask any of these people who think that if you do this one act, and you do it on faith, by the way, because this is a new religion, you do it on faith, and you say, this is what I'm going to do, and then it ends up not working. And then you say, oh, what you need is another one. This is the plan. The first one didn't work. The second one didn't work. The third one, some cases, Israel, wherever. There's data all over the place. What is it? There's a country Belarus or something. One of these countries did this where it was almost 100% Argentina. Trying to think, it's kind of a small country, but they did it at like 100%. Like they had 100% compliance, and they did the thing at like 100%. You can see the bar. And by the way, you can't show graphs. Graphs are evil, because if you show a graph and you show where there's a correlation between doing the thing and getting the thing, and the getting the thing numbers go way, 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 way up, right? Off the chart, literally, see, out of the picture, out of the chart, like gone. And the numbers before that, by the way, were really low. And then you introduce the thing and the numbers just shoot up. You can't show that graph because, well, we're going to fact check that. How are you going to fact check the graph? So you do all this, and then it creates a problem that didn't exist in the first place. And this is why there are a lot of conspiracy theorists right now, including yours truly. Sorry. It's not as if I think there's a conspiracy around every corner, but I've felt for a long time that there's a problem even prior to this so-called thingdemic, which seems to never want to go away. And again, I've noted too that there are now some states, middle of the country, Midwest, Northeast. By the way, Vermont, I think, is the most thinged state, and they have some of the biggest thing problems right now. I don't know. It's just, look, you don't want to believe me. You don't want to look into this. Nobody wants to actually do journalism anymore. They don't want to say, let's go to Vermont and see why, because they're really strict yet. And there have been a few reporters here and there who'll say, hey, Florida, that's where I live, by the way. Thank God. Right. And Florida, and hey, Santa, what do we call him? Santa DeSantis, DeSanta Claus. All right. He's done a lot of good things. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but hey, boats, if you want to come here, boats, ships, come on into the ports, right? We'll unpack your stuff. We've got people here to do it. People are moving here because they want freedom. And by the way, there are counties here in the state of Florida that act like they're in New York. And the governor's like, hey, knock that off. And they go, no, we like tyranny. We like kids that are suffering. We like adults that are fearful all of their days and nights. We want them awake at night thinking about how they're going to provide for their family. We think that's a good strategy to win votes. And so DeSantis, who's trying to kind of offset, passing laws, no more OSHA in Florida. I hope that goes through. Decentralization, by the way, is a very libertarian point of view. Republicans, by the way, do a good job here and there. They say some really good things, but then what happens is they don't want to get beat up in the media, or they just don't want to follow through with it for whatever reason. And I'm not saying any political party is, all of them are corrupt. I mean, the Libertarians are kind of like an up and coming thing. And this isn't an ad for Libertarians, but if I really examine what I believe, it's more libertarian than anything. I don't believe in telling other people what to do. And this is important right now because there are a whole lot of people who are telling other people what to do. And Republicans do it too sometimes. Governor DeWine in Ohio, Governor Abbott in Texas. Was it Rick Perry was giving out Gardasil to like 14-year-old kids, boys and girls, by the way. Gardasil. If you know what that is, check it out. It's insane what even Republican governors have done. And again, it's a matter of degrees. And if you're going to come at me about Trump, a lot of people have sent me messages about Trump, and I've said, yeah, Trump is infinitely better than the dude he's a thing too. The corpse, the comatose corpse who apparently has issues keeping his underwear from being stained. Sorry. Yeah, 100% on Trump versus that. But long term, we need somebody who can say, and he hasn't done this yet. This is why I'm kind of like, okay, if he comes out and says, nobody should be mandating, which he kind of has, but then he's selling it. He's selling it. It's like the reason he's double-minded in this area is because he took, I think it was $1 million for his inauguration from Pfizer. So, that means his entire strategy is compromised. And I'm sorry to convey that to you all. I still like him. He's fun to listen to at times. He's entertaining. It's a little P.T. Barnum meets whatever, and that's cool. But we got big fish to fry right now. And we need serious people with serious ideas. And again, if he's at the end of the tunnel and people are excited about it and it's going to stop the madness, then maybe, yeah, that's where I go. But as far as the music end of things, you would think that the music industry at some point would want to save itself from complete destruction, especially when it comes to live music. And it doesn't seem like they really want to. It doesn't seem that way. And attacking Eric Clapton, one of the greatest guitarists, if you don't believe Eric Clapton is one of the greatest guitarists of all time, then you need to study rock and roll history. Just a little bit. And you can't impugn a man's guitar playing skills over his views on lockdowns and freedom and having this BS go away, as he and Van Morrison like to sing about. So that's my super long video on this stream of consciousness. Thank you very much. Don't forget about Patreon. I want to thank incredible support. I mean, this isn't what I thought was going to happen. I thought I was going to lose a lot of subscribers, and eventually people were going to tell me to go to hell, which still may happen. I do have trolls that come by and pay the dollar to tell me that I'm not quoting sources or some stupid thing. This is an opinion-based. Remember, the channel is called Real Music Observer. All right. I do consider myself a journalist, by the way, because I look at something and I tell you what I've seen, which is what journalism is. Now, I may interject opinion, but so does CNN, MSNBC, and the people on the right, whether it's Steven Crowder, people who are kind of apolitical, like a Tim Pool, who's got so many subscribers, a guy like Joe Rogan, who has the biggest platform in the world pretty much, and people like him because he's real. So I'd like to think of myself, I'm not as articulate as a Joe Rogan, and I don't have the influence of a Joe Rogan, but here's where I do have influence, is that I come at you with my heart. I come at you with what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and I couple that with some of the things going on where I can put that information together with my heart and present it to you. So again, if you're thinking about donating to the channel, doing like $1 a month or whatever, I've had people come in at $5, at $2, whatever it is. This is kind of you and I. I'm just, the conduit. This is kind of you and I. I get a lot of energy from people. In fact, so much energy these days, I can barely keep up with sending out messages and thank yous to people. So keep that in mind. If you don't hear from me right away, it's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining, but it's me. Okay, I don't have my wife employed. I don't have my kids doing this. This is just me. And you would think, hey, this is all you do. You're not punching the clock 8 hours a day. True. And this is true. I used to. For many years, I paid my dues in the corporate world. And yeah, I prefer being my own boss and saying it like I want to say it and doing it like I want to do it. This is liberating and it's amazing. But, the bottom line is there are times where you get discouraged, and I want to thank people for encouraging me and also for donating to the channel. I don't know the future of this particular channel on this particular platform. I don't know. It can happen at any day. It's happened to other people who have more subscribers, who have a bigger reach, who are far more charismatic and interesting than yours truly. So, I take one day at a time, and I thank the Lord each day for keeping me here. And I don't like funding the beast per se, but this is where people have access. People understand how to watch a YouTube video. And I think that is both a blessing and a curse. I do have a channel, I do have a channel on Rumble. Could be a chamble because it's a Rumble channel. So you can subscribe to that too. I'm hoping I don't have to go over there, because right now it doesn't seem as though they want to pay me anything to be over there. But that may change if I get a bunch of subscribers over there and I'm regularly posting content. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I want to thank everybody who's been really generous this week. Just amazing. Apparently, there are a lot of people, and Eric Clapton should be encouraged. A lot of people that like Eric Clapton. Don't forget about Van Morrison, too. Van was out there even before Eric, and they're both amazing. Eric's a little more high profile than Van. And Eric has this testimony where he did the thing and then something happened to him. So that's really powerful. And I don't know how these Rolling Stone type people are just going to like, hey, I don't know why he's just not so gung-ho about this. Duh. If it happened to you, I don't think it would be gung-ho for you. Anyway, that's my video. See you soon.